everyone, and welcome to Unplug, the Connection series. Today's topic is But You Expect a Response from God. My name is Cleopatra.
I am Amy.
And I'm Caitlin.
And I think today, the starting point for this topic is we've had discussions about how when people don't respond, when they're not rapidly responding, or they're on their phone or their laptop, whatever piece of technology it is, and you're not getting a response, whether that's for business purposes, for making personal plans, whatever it is. And then also talking about how you can have healthy boundaries where you're not constantly on that technology, but then are you using it well when you're on it? Are you being reliable to the people that you're in contact with, again, whether it's business or otherwise? And so I think that's kind of a starting point of an overview of what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, and I didn't know whether you were unmuting or not. I was kind of afraid to say something. Well, we live in a culture of like just those constant notifications, like texts, calls, DMs, whatever. But many people either ignore their messages too long, or they feel like they have to maybe answer it immediately. And so there needs to be like a healthy boundary. And so both extremes cause problems, because if you're ignoring, that builds frustration in your relationships, while over responding maybe leads to burnout and distraction. And so there needs to be some sort of like healthy boundary for time and timely responses.
Well, I think
Go ahead. Nope, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, because like I said, there's the business side of it, but then like on the personal side of it, when you're, for example, trying to make plans with somebody, whether that's in person or you're gonna go do something or whatever it is, and you're not getting a timely response, it's not about the fact that people don't have life to live and should be living life before technology and stuff, but at the same time, you have that responsibility of communicating with, whether it's friends, family, whoever it is, to make those plans, or so that they understand where you're at, if you have a bill, whatever it is. There's a bunch of different scenarios that could be, so I'm not going to necessarily point out one, but it's a lack of respect for that person, and then that's going to, like Caitlin said, put a strain on your relationship, so they're going to see you as less trustworthy, or they're just going to be more apprehensive about maybe making plans in the future or whatever it is. And then on like the business side of it, when you know that people are logged into their work, or whether it's via email or text message or even calling people, seems like such a, I don't know, people think of it as such a nuisance, when actually sometimes calling someone is the easiest way to resolve something more quickly. So you know that they're logged into that, or like they're at their desk, whatever it is, and you're just not getting a response. You can't call them, they won't pick up the phone, they won't respond to your email, you leave voice, whatever it is. And so I think it's a matter of like, it comes down to respect, really, in my opinion, of their time and yours, because it's not like you want to take up more of their time, and they shouldn't want to take up more of your time than necessary, and you can resolve whatever the issue or whatever the question is, in a more timely response or timely manner.
Well, and I understand there's a lot of people very overworked in the business world, underpaid, overworked. Yet, I think this would go out to business owners, managers, leaders, all of that. We need to be setting the example of, number one, first and foremost, doing it ourselves. Being responsible and accountable, with being very timely. It doesn't have to be immediately, but even 24 to 48 hours. Yes, there's some that may need to be more immediate, but like you said, technology should not be the master. We should be the master over technology. Yet, if we cannot be committed and loyal to being accountable and responsible with this piece of any of the technology that we're using, then we're misusing it, and that's going to come back on us. Because if we're not keeping our end of the deal, just with anyone that we're communicating with, even if we're just staying in the business world, then it's going to come back at us. Because we want people to respond to us. Now, here and there's something that falls through the loophole, and yeah, I missed it. But admit it, say I'm sorry, and I'll do better not to do it. But it is like culturally accepted and the social norm to just, if I don't respond to you, I don't respond. I don't care. It's just the way it is. And I'm like, that's pretty messed up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lack of respect and care, in my opinion.
Yeah. What was that you said?
It's just like a lack of care and respect, and not responding back like that sends the message that maybe you or whatever you're asking, whatever topic it is, doesn't matter. And maybe you're not meaning to send that message over to somebody else, but it's important to know, like, not responding back to somebody, it may not make them feel the greatest. It may make them feel like, that maybe they're not doing enough, or that they don't matter, or they're not important enough. So it's important, we don't want to be glued to our phones. We want to be present in real life, but we need to respect the people that God has put in our lives and communicate with them well and efficiently.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, 24, 48 hours. We should be able to respond in that amount of time, unless you're on vacation or you're, ill or, or this or that. But I'm telling you, everybody still has their technology. Mm-hmm. It's true. Let's just admit it and say, okay, well, we want, like the title of this, but we want responses from God. We want timeliness from God. We want answers from God. How is that any different between us humans? Mm-hmm. And family members? I mean, it goes that way. It goes, like Cleopatra said, all different relationships. And it makes us feel better when we do. And simply responding. And sometimes it seems like it's not acceptable of saying, we are not interested at this time, or we are not able to do this at this time, or we are not capable. I mean, all it takes is an answer. Mm-hmm. And it resolves things. It clears things up. That person then can go on doing whatever they need to do. Or it's an answer we need, that a person may need some answer to a question or something. Just do it. You'll feel better. Mm-hmm. You'll feel a ton better that you did it. But I think also people, like I said, overworked, underpaid, so many irons going. I don't remember the saying for that, but there's
irons in the fire.
Yes, so many irons in the fire that it's like, okay, this goes to the top. We've got to help, the top owners, managers, leaders, and everything be the example. And then we've also got to make it so the people working for us can also be that way. So this kind of needs to be an overhaul,
Well, and like Caitlin mentioned earlier, there's kind of like two very opposite sides, and there's not a lot in the middle, which I feel like it's the middle ground of like being a term we've always used as a rapid responder, or however you want to say it. And then also not like letting, I don't want to say if letting control your life, but if you respond instantly and you're continuously like accessible at all times to the extent that you can't be present in your real life, I don't think that's healthy. But then if you're just like, you put it off, you don't respond, it might be days, it might be weeks, it could get to months, whatever. That's an unhealthy opposite too. Like, I don't think either one of them is necessarily like the answer. And so like in the middle ground of it also depends on maybe what the project is, what the plans are that you're trying to make with a family member, friend, whatever. Again, it depends on the context and what time period you're looking at or time frame you're looking at. But I feel like the middle ground is like, okay, I value my time, I value their time. So if I respond to them, if it gives them an answer, we'll just say starting in business, my time and their time is going to be used in a much better way. I'll feel freer, like Mom said. And then whether it's moving forward or it's right now it's not the best fit, can we reevaluate or whatever it is? And then from a personal standpoint, like when we try to make plans with people, and you're not getting a response, and it's getting closer to the day you were talking about, and it's like, well, are we gonna do this? Are we not gonna? It just creates a whole like stress factor, but then also just uneasiness. It's the lack of respect again. And so like for me, sometimes like I try to, like when I'm working on stuff or when I'm writing or whatever it is, I'll turn like my phone on do not disturb. I turn on like a specific setting for writing or whatever it is. So like in that time, I'm not going to respond. I'm not supposed to look at it, like whatever. But then if I'm working on other things, I'll specifically go and respond to whatever people or emails or whatever it is. And so I think it's kind of going back to priorities too, like if that's something that you do prioritize or you don't. And I think it's in Mental Attire Movement. We have a video that you can check out about priorities. I can't remember the exact title of it. Caitlin can link it below. But like, is it a priority currently to respond to the people in your life, whether it's business or work or whatever related or personal? Like, is that one of your priorities? And if it's not, maybe you need to look at it and say, how can I make this work so that I'm not constantly glued to my technology, but I am making an effort to be in contact with whoever I need to be. So it's kind of like evaluating that, whether it is a priority or not currently, and then if it's not, maybe prioritizing it a little bit more and figuring out how you can work that in.
Well, and it's okay not to respond immediately back to people, especially like Cleopatra was saying, if you're in the middle of work, or if you're in the middle of family time or rest. But it's important to circle back so that those people do feel valued. You can't pour into others if you're constantly on, so to speak, but you can't build strong connections or relationships if you're always off, if that makes sense. And so it's important to like Cleopatra was saying, find those priorities, prioritize things, and find maybe set intentional time to like check-in times. We'll put it that way. You know, whether it's a time in the morning or a time in the evening to respond back to people. I think that's a really good thing that you could start doing if you're wanting to, okay, what are these healthy boundaries? What's a practical tip that I can take? Set an intentional check-in time to respond back to people. I mean, literally just like maybe 5 minutes. It doesn't take long, but at the end, you'll feel valued, you'll feel better, and they'll feel valued.
Yeah, I mean, for your messaging, you could do that once or twice a day, or your emails, or any, I mean, it depends on your situation. You may need to do it more, but still just having the check-in times. And it really will keep you more focused. We have a Cleopatra was talking about, and I'm not sure if it's the same video that we were talking about with distractions. That, you know, 17 to 50 minutes on up, if we are distracted by one thing, it takes us to start focusing again. So, I mean, that's a lot of time wasted by just being distracted by something. And notifications, that's a whole nother topic of just turning those off. But going back to this, you know, we want people to respond to us, so we need to be committed and loyal to doing the same. And I think it also takes some reflection time. Like, we have the quiet time video you can watch under the Mental Attire Movement, to take reflection time regularly. And it takes some strength and courage to say, okay, my habits are not maybe the healthiest. Maybe I need to reprioritize. Maybe I need to look at some of my habits that are not the healthiest. That's what it is. It's a habit. It's our actions. We can change our habits. You can change your habits. A habit can be changed. So if we don't look at it any other thing except for that, this is a habit that you can change, that you can program and condition yourself, because how we are currently, we programmed and conditioned ourselves. We learned it. So we can make a new habit. It's doable. You know, we talk a lot about that. So don't think it's, irreversible. Don't think that it's impossible. It is.
And then I think, and this could go for the business or the personal, but I'm going to speak more on a personal note. When you don't respond to those people, or you don't make like your friendships or your family a priority, again, like geographically, sometimes it's in person more than like maybe over technology. But if it's friendships or family members that geographically you're not close to, so that's the only way that you can more frequently connect. If you're not prioritizing that, and then you're like, well, God, I really want like these people in my life, and this means a lot to me. Well, if you're not showing appreciation and gratitude for the people, and I think Caitlin kind of touched on this, that God has put in your life, then it's like, well, if you're not showing that gratitude for them, how is he going to bring more people into your life? Or how are those people going to feel not feeling valued in your life? And so I think it's kind of just from a human level too, like, you know, like we've talked about, the lack of respect that it shows. And so it's like, well, you can say you're grateful for these people, but are you showing that gratitude? And that doesn't mean that you constantly have to be messaging back and forth. You don't have to constantly be on the phone, whatever. But it's like, how can you build those relationships? Can you just check in with them every now and then, or, you know, whatever it is? And so when you start to show more actual appreciation for them, God is going to be like, okay, I see that you can, if you're actually being grateful for these people, here's how you can expand it to be even more, or, you know, whatever it is. I'm not going to specify, but like, I don't know. I think that's another angle when like you're reflecting on it of like, am I truly showing appreciation for these people in my life, or am I just kind of taking them for granted that they'll always be there?
Yeah, and God's placed these people in your lives for a reason. So how are you, and I've said it time and time again, how are you stewarding that? How are you stewarding, you know, the relationships that he's given you? How can he bless you with more if you're not being responsible with what he's giving you right now? And so I even think like just like a quick acknowledgement text sometimes, like, you know, hey, I got your message, I'll respond to you tonight when I have more time. And that is respected so much, and actually follow up with it. But that is respected so much more than just your silence. And I even think, you know, meeting up in person, how often are we interrupted just by, you know, the pings and the notifications that we get on our phones? You know, be face to face with someone, be present with that person, and put, you know, those distractions away. Respond to that person, develop that relationship with that person. It's important. Like we said, the people that God's placed in your lives, build off of that, steward that well, and learn from them. And they'll feel valued whenever you do that.
Mm-hmm. And I think, Cleopatra, you touched on this, phone calls. How many of us don't make phone calls anymore? You know,
so true.
You're not supposed to get through to anybody to actually talk to them with businesses. Mm-hmm. You can't. It's all automated. And then how about, do we even pick up the phone and talk to family and friends? I mean, people are so busy. And it's like, slow down. You know, we've got our live slow, relax, quiet time, you know, turn off the noise, play a game with the family, cook a meal, prep, you know. I mean, get back to the basics, the simple things, and put the phones down, you know. But on the flip side, set aside time so you can have those check-in times like Caitlin was talking about, so that you can be fully present and you can get to you know, feel better, sleep better, be present more. Your health, your mental and physical health will be better, your relationships will be better. But it's all tied together, literally. But we are working on, you know, pick up the phone and call somebody. But then you say, well, the backlash of, but people don't want to. People don't want to talk on the phone, especially in the business world. I'm too busy. Well, time to reprioritize you know. And I know, once again, overworked, underpaid. And the other thing I would say is under promise, over deliver. In any of it. I think it's very good to have promises, but I think don't say something just to tie over time, just to temporarily suffice somebody. Be honest. And, you know, if you guys already explained about how to respond and that kind of stuff, but yes, like in business, we love rapid responders. We do. We reward people for rapid responding, you know, and that doesn't mean they have to answer in the first 5 minutes or 30 or 60 or whatever, but even within the day or the next day, to me is, you know, unless you need an answer immediately, but be proud of it. That proud is a good thing. It's not a bad, prideful thing. Just, you know, you're going to feel better. And you know what? God will respond kindly. God will know when we're making the effort or when we're not. It's the laws in motion. You know, they'll work for us more or they won't. I mean, it's just how life works. So if you want to feel better at the end of the day, you know, we talk about our gratitude journals at the end of the day. And just take some time to reflect of, wow, I'm changing my habit for the better.
Well,
have an accountability partner. You know?
Right. Well, and unplugging is all about, you know, reclaiming your peace, reclaiming focus, reclaiming maybe your like presence, like as in, you know, being present. And plugging back in is all about showing up well for the people who need you most. And so those healthy boundaries, I think, is important. I mean, you're not a slave to your phone, but you're also not careless with communication. And so I'd just encourage you, like, just start responding back. It doesn't have to be immediately, but just start responding back to make that other person feel valued. Like Amy said, 24 to 48 hours. You can do that. And that's better than silence, in my opinion, and very important.
And maybe take an inventory of who you actually are responding to and when. Have a piece of paper and a pen or pencil. Write it down. Make some notes. Jot some notes. And realize I am responding to all these people who actually don't need responded to immediately, and I'm ignoring all of these people. And make it a priority, and even post it or hang it or set it somewhere so that you can like be conscious, because 95% of us is unconscious, programmed and conditioned, our habits and patterns. So once again, we can change this. Great way. Be accountable. Write it down. And you'll realize, do it for a few days, and you'll realize, wow, this is consuming my time. Write down how much social media you're on. Your phone will detect it too. It'll tell you. But if you want to know what you're spending your time on, write it down. Jot a note, the time, and what you were on. If you really want to get serious and change it for the better, that will nail it right away. So, what is a key takeaway that each of you would have?
Well, I think that the topic of the video is kind of ties into my takeaway of like, we expect God to respond right away to us, or we want a response from God, but then how are we doing that in kind in our own lives with our work or our businesses or our family members or friends? And so it's kind of about like taking the time, like you guys were saying, of even take the inventory of who you are responding to, who you aren't responding to, who you're present with, etc., and kind of reprioritizing and making communication, healthy communication, more of a priority, so that you can, one, give those people the value that they deserve, the respect they deserve, and then you're also going to feel better yourself, and you're going to enjoy your days more too. And so I think it's kind of just allowing yourself to take that inventory or become more aware. And we talk about this in pretty much all of our videos because I think it's a key factor for everything. But to become aware of how you are spending your time, and if you say you're too busy, then like I mentioned this in another one, take the inventory of what you're doing with your day and then see how much time you would have if you set aside some of the habits that are not serving you well, that are not actually productive or furthering you like in any way. You know, it's just kind of like a way to pass time that you say you don't have the time for other things. And so maybe just take that time, take 5 minutes to sit down and make a list of your priorities or how you could steward them better, and then take action steps from there.
I would say show up for the people who need you. Show them that they're valued. Create like small shifts, whether that is like, you know, just setting aside, you know, a specific time of day to respond back to people. You know, those small shifts, they create healthier habits and they create stronger relationships, whether that's, you know, just in your personal life or in your business. And so I think it's really, really important, you know, show up for those people, set aside a time for them, show them that they're valued, and create those habits, and it'll create healthier relationships.
And I would say, I would invite you to respond to any of the people reaching out, from in business and in personal, but even people you don't know that are reaching out, or you've just interacted with once or twice or this or that, or not even really, or you really don't, respond to those people. You know, respond to anybody that comes through, and be that first kernel of popcorn we talk about. Be a good example. Be the example. Be a good influence. And you're going to feel a lot better about yourself. So for today, thank you. We appreciate you greatly and are thankful for you. No one or family shall do life alone. So reach out, connect with us, and we look forward to connecting and hearing from you. Take care.